Hello, hello, hello! Welcome everyone! Let me give everyone a good old ham hi! It is I, your lovable host Zarataro here with Yo! You Like That? The talk show where I have a guest on and we talk about something that they like. And then hey, I like that. And then yo, you like that. And yo, we all like that. It's just a little thing to help spread positivity. Positivity. Hey, those are words. Say that. We have a very special guest here today. Let me go ahead and bring him on. We have the one and only MechaDeathclaw. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic, my man.
That is good to hear. Mecha here has picked a very awesome topic. Now, normally we've been going over just video games and such, but we have a new topic in regards to NASCAR.
Yes, that is right. The National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing.
Wait, it's actually wow. I'm already learning so
Yeah.
much. I didn't realize it was an anagram. Yo,
it's an acronym. It stands for the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing.
What?
Yeah. Next year is actually going to be its 75th year.
75 years, man. At least I don't feel so old whenever I'm talking about this. Well, before we get started, MechaDeathclaw, please go ahead and give us a short little description about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Mecha. I am a sort of like a robot Deathclaw, if you will. I was a person, but Vault-Tech's
I see a brain in that jar.
Yeah, Vault-Tech's always up to some not so nice stuff, and it's one of their unfortunate experiments. Yeah, but I don't want to. I'm not the fighting type. I just want to play some video games.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. And you have decided to talk to us today about NASCAR. So I'm gonna go let you know. I've seen NASCAR, via like osmosis.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really gotten to watch. I played a few of the games, so you're gonna have to go ahead and break down pretty much what NASCAR is from the ground floor. Go ahead, break it down to me. What is NASCAR?
Yeah, so NASCAR, like I said, it's an auto racing series, 75 years old next year, and it actually got its roots in the 20s with moonshine runners. They would soup up their cars to outrun the police, and eventually it just became who's faster than who. They eventually had these meetings where, they would find a place to test their cars, and eventually people started showing up and watching, and that's how this sort of stock car racing of taking cars you could buy in the showroom, souping them up, and then just making them go as fast as possible really came about.
I am already loving the story so much.
Yeah.
You say moonshine runners and outrun the police. Like, I'm just thinking like Need for Speed Most Wanted, just in the 1920s, and you're like, yeah, no, that's actually the genesis to this really official car racing thing. Yo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from having small events all over, county fairs, stuff like that, a whole bunch of people got together in Daytona Beach, Florida, and created the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing to bring everything under one banner. And since then, they've been having races all around the country. Basically, the whole premise to NASCAR is taking similar body styles across multiple manufacturers, similar engines, similar parts, and basically putting the race out of the car and into the driver's hands. It's all about, it's less about what car is better and more about what driver can use their car to the fullest.
Right. Because it is a very technical thing. Like, a lot of people joke that it's just like, oh, it's just turning left. It's like, no, it's not just turning left. It's you're at angles. You're wearing out the car, the tires, maintenance, like in the middle of the race, slipstreams, placement, just God, like I don't even know, but I even know like the most basic stuff, and I'm like, that's already like way past technical. I don't like driving down the road like in normal traffic. I can't imagine doing stuff at like over 100 miles per hour on these tracks.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, most people when they think NASCAR, they think it's just left turns on ovals. There's so much more that goes into it, from how they set up the car. There's different sort of tire camber, different air pressures in the tires. Do they want to trim out a car so it has more downforce through aerodynamics, but doing that you lose a lot of speed on straightaways? It's a whole lot of trade-offs, and they race on all different kinds of tracks all over the country. It's not just a southern sport. They'll race, New Hampshire has a racetrack, which is a flat 1 mile oval. Biggest track on the circuit is Talladega in Alabama. That is a 2.66 high banked oval, where you basically have to run nose to tail. You have to stay in the draft, or else you're not going to be able to just go fast enough. There's a whole lot to it, like you said.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. So how did you discover NASCAR? Like, what was Mecha's first NASCAR experience?
So NASCAR, and the reason it has a... Oh man, I just spun out the 37 car. Whoops.
Thank you for preparing the footage for me, by the way.
Yeah. But yeah, NASCAR is something that I've, ever since I was young enough to understand what I was watching on TV, it was something I watched. My earliest memory I have of it is, going downstairs in my house at the time, and my dad was watching a whole bunch of cars go around a racetrack, and I was asking him, what the heck, what is this? And he told me that, it was car racing, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And I mean,
when you're little, cars are the best.
Yeah, I mean, so, some people, even when you're not little, cars are the best. I mean, but yeah, I remember watching NASCAR with my dad from, I couldn't have been more than 4 or 5, and I've been a fan ever since, really.
Was it like that moment in Speed Racer where like Speed comes down and he sees his dad watching the race, and he'll just start cheering go, 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 go?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
yeah. I love that movie.
The first time I saw these brightly colored cars going around this racetrack at ridiculously high speeds, I was instantly hooked. I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Nice. So what about it do you find the most enjoyable? Like NASCAR, it's different than say an entertainment sport like wrestling, which does a lot of side stuff to try and make beefs and drama and stuff. NASCAR is mostly about the skill.
Yes. That's the biggest thing. It's about driver skill. When you come to things like IndyCar or F1, which are the racing series, the car itself has a lot to do with it. In F1, for example, you might only have 3 teams who have a solid chance of winning throughout the entirety of the year. Every single race, one driver from 3 teams might win. In NASCAR, this past season, there was 19 different winners during the season. So it's incredibly high parity rate. It's the perfect storm, I think, of these cars are huge too. That's the other thing is an F1 car, they're going to make it as light as possible for speed. A stock car, NASCAR mandates it has to weigh 1.5 tons. It has to be all the cars have to be the
beefy
same
car.
Yeah, they all have
a lot of cake in that car.
They all got to be the same weight. So it's it really showcases the driver skill. And when you have 40 cars on a racetrack like this, it's going to be some action no matter where you're looking. It's really a good time all around.
If I was younger and someone would have explained to me, it's it's a whole bunch of big booty cars just fighting each other for first place through skill and unmatched perseverance. It's yeah, no, that sounds raw as shit.
And I mean, it's always one thing too. And I mean, going back like you were saying, it's any kid would be like, that's really cool. I don't think I've met an adult who I've gone to a NASCAR race, their first NASCAR race, and the cars just come by the straightaway at 170 miles an hour. I don't think I've ever seen someone at their first NASCAR race with their jaws not on the floor, because it's hard to describe what 170 miles an hour is, and then even harder to describe what 170 miles an hour looks like when cars are inches away from each other like that. It's the craziest thing.
Oh man, it's gotta be intense. I've never seen one live, but I can only imagine. Random question. What do you think it would cost to get a Zarataro car, or maybe just a sticker on one of these bad boys? I need to start getting my advertising out, getting my face up on there. It doesn't have to be on the front. I'd settle for a rear wheel kind of sticker.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, it's depends on the team, really. Obviously, bigger teams, they're gonna want more for their sponsorship. But there's a lot of teams out there who are looking for sponsorship. So, I mean, if you were to reach out and honestly, I think you might be able to get your to get a hamster on one of these stock cars.
Yeah, I want to get a hamster on a stock car. All right, everyone, that's the goal. That's the next Kofi. No, it's not the next Kofi thing, but goal. But
Yeah.
but no, yeah, no, that. Oh man, no, it feels good to talk about this because, um, it's like a lot of whenever I get to experience racing, it's mostly through like video game media or maybe like a movie here and there. Although Speed Racer's not exactly comparable to NASCAR, but like your Gran Turismos, your Forzas, there's a lot of like technical like stock car racing one. Besides the NASCAR series, is there any racing games that you otherwise enjoy, like Need for Speeds or Burnouts or?
Yeah, I mean, I love Need for Speed, love Burnout. Burnout Paradise is a fantastic game.
Oh, Burnout Paradise is the best.
Oh yeah, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is fantastic too. But I will say NASCAR, they do have their own video game franchises. Like NASCAR Heat currently is the current running NASCAR series.
Didn't the Gran Turismo series have the NASCAR license, or has that expired?
I don't know about Gran Turismo because I only played on Xbox. But what I can say is that Forza Motorsport, they had a licensed partnership with NASCAR as well.
Oh, okay. They must have switched over. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
sometimes it's hard to keep up with like which console's trying to buy exclusivity to what.
Yeah, I know it gets tough and it gets confusing. But the biggest thing is NASCAR itself is trying to venture more into accessibility all around. Obviously, like you mentioned earlier, NASCAR does have a bit of a stigma. It's just a bunch of cars driving around in circles and a bunch of rednecks getting drunk watching them. But they're really trying to branch out, not just across the country, but they're being really active now. They're encouraging their drivers to be active on Twitter. I follow several NASCAR drivers. They are also opening it up to other avenues to get into the sport. Specifically,
like a junior league?
Well, yeah, I mean they have a couple feeder series. They have the NASCAR Xfinity series, which feeds into basically the top level is called the Cup Series. That's the top level of competition. They have a feeder series called the Xfinity Series, and they also have a NASCAR. Next year will be the Craftsman Truck Series. So not cars per se, but trucks like it's Silverado. They have the Ford F-150 is the Ford entry in that. But they also have the NASCAR the eNASCAR iRacing Series, which is an officially sanctioned NASCAR racing series on iRacing. So, yeah, I mean, current drivers like William Byron, who drives the 24 car, that's how he got his start. He didn't race go-karts or he didn't race super late models. He was on iRacing. He raced against some people who were actually in NASCAR, and they started talking about him, and he actually got a contract for a truck series. Yeah. So I mean, he's in the Cup Series now. He made it to the round of 8 in the championship this year. He's a phenomenal driver. So there's more ways now than ever to get into the sport.
Man, okay. Now all we need to tie the knot is an anime where just like two young drivers that are rivals are just like competing to try and get into the top slot so they can fulfill their dream of being in the national series. Oh, come on, anime, where is that?
I would not only would I love an anime, I personally have been adding HoloLive to be like, sponsor a stock car, please. There's a lot of people who need to sponsor. I would love a HoloLive NASCAR stock car in the Daytona 500 this upcoming year.
I mean, Melody has that one sports car, right, in V Shoujo? I mean, let's get HoloLive. Let's get all the DGs in. Yeah. I would love that. Oh, man. So, do you have a favorite driver or a favorite team?
Yes. So, I mean, right now, my favorite active driver, his name is Daniel Suarez. He races for Trackhouse Racing. And the reason I like Daniel Suarez so much is because he's got the short end of the stick a lot for, he's raced for different teams. He raced for Joe Gibbs Racing. He was only there for a year and did pretty good, but then they got rid of him to bring someone else in. Same thing with another racing team. And now that he's at a team, they want to have him. They plan on having him for the future. You know, he won his first race this past year. He's been performing extremely well all year. Like, he's a great driver. Nobody was giving him a chance, and now he has a chance to show off what he has. But
that's good.
Yeah, but my favorite driver all time is Alan Kulwicki. He was a driver in the in the late 80s, early 90s, and he was really just a hands-on kind of driver, where he understood the mechanics of what made the car work. He understood what a good race car ran like. He understood how to make one, and everything had to be done his way. He didn't let he actually raced for. He signed contracts with other teams, like bigger teams. He didn't like how they were run, so he actually people joke about it all the time, but he left and he started his own team, and he won a championship
with blackjack.
Yeah, he won a championship
and tires.
So more power to him, and I think that's awesome to say. You know, this isn't how I want to do it. This is how it's going to be done if I'm going to do it, and he made it happen. You know, so.
Nice. I like that story.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as like recommending people to NASCAR, like what is a good entry level way to get a NASCAR? Is it just turn on the TV and just start watching it, or would you recommend maybe like a live show first, or?
Honestly, there's no better way to get into NASCAR than just watching a race. Honestly, they bigger races coming up, Daytona 500, things like that. The second half of the season, though, is on NBC, and I personally find that NBC does a great job of not just explaining what's going on in the race, but explaining the why. You know, they actually they have a virtual car they use where when they talk about a part breaking, they'll actually go to this like animated car, show what the part is on the car and what happened, like what it does and why it broke, why did it break, and can it be repaired, things like that. They do it's a phenomenal.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah, they do a great job explaining everything. So, second half of the season, when coming down towards the end of the season, when NBC is airing shows, that's definitely, I think, a great entry point. But tuning in is really the biggest thing, and also not being afraid to ask questions. If you're interested in it, looking it up. I saw this in a NASCAR race. Why? I don't think I've met anyone on Twitter. If you ask a non-opinionated question, let me preface that. If you ask a non-opinionated question, because NASCAR fans are very passionate, we are passionate about our sport. If you ask a non-opinionated question, I think anyone on NASCAR Twitter will gladly answer your question for you. I don't think I've ever seen anyone be like, "That's a stupid question. I'm not going to answer that."
So there's no gatekeeping. Everyone just wants to just like share what they enjoy. I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh man. So about the future of NASCAR? You were saying that they've started like introducing more things to get like younger people in, like the I Series.
Mm-hmm.
How confident, or is there anything like really like you're looking forward to in regards to like these steps as it's going forward?
I mean, there's a number of different things. This past year, they just introduced their next gen race car. It's the 7th gen NASCAR stock car. Obviously, I mean, you can even see in the footage. Those are 6th gen stock cars in NASCAR Heat 5, and comparing that to the cars below on the picture, very different. Also, they transition the cars as the years go on, and they just you all right over there?
Yeah. Camera issue.
Okay. Yeah. So as the years goes on, they do transition to newer cars, and then this new car they just debuted last year. It does still have some kinks they have to work out, like when cars spin and back into the wall, it doesn't absorb as much energy as it should. But it's making the racing a lot better across the board. The cars have been the closest they've been all year, and we've been seeing small teams who don't have a lot of funding, things like that. They are able to compete with the big teams, which is really what NASCAR wants. So hopefully going forward, even we'll see more manufacturers return. There's been a lot of discussion. Right now, the only manufacturers in the sport are Chevrolet, Ford, and Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of discussion about bringing new manufacturers back into the sport. People are talking about Dodge could make a return. Nissan would be a good option, and Mazda and things like that. Also, NASCAR's thrown around. Oh, voice crack! Oh my goodness, thrown around. NASCAR's thrown around the idea of an electric NASCAR series.
Oh.
Yeah, so they've potentially coming up this year. They might do an experimental version of it for a race, like an exhibition race, just to see what that would be like. But yeah, they have big plans for this next gen car and the big plans going into the future. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot to be excited for. Oh man, that's cool. Let's go ahead and take a question from the audience. If you have a question in regards to NASCAR or just to Mecha or me themselves, please feel free to go ahead and let us know.
Mm-hmm. So you said you've never been to a NASCAR race? Yeah, man.
I have not been to a NASCAR race. No, I know that they're pretty local for me. I'm in northwestern Florida, so.
Oh, you got a lot.
I should probably go to one.
A lot of great tracks down there. Daytona is the end-all, be-all for NASCAR. It's an amazing racetrack, amazing facility, and Homestead down in Miami is great too. So we got to go sometime. We'll go to the Daytona 500 this year. It'll be fun.
I'll bring an umbrella. I don't do well with the heat. Well, it's starting to cool off actually.
The race is in February. I think hopefully we'll be okay.
Hopefully we'll be okay. So when you were younger, this is just like something that I always like did. Well, I always did. I still kind of do. Did you pick your favorite car by color?
Oh my God, yes! Sometimes... It was the M&M's car. It's always the M&M's car. Are you kidding?
Dang it! You beat me to
it. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, I noticed there was a lot of brightly colored cars going really fast. I thought that was super cool. But when I realized one of them was candy, I'm like, oh yes, please.
Yeah, I want the M&Ms to win.
Mm-hmm.
Then they changed the color to like the peanut butter one. It's like I don't know if I want them to win as much right now.
But they also had a Snickers paint scheme, and I was all aboard for that.
I used to work at a toy store, and we would always get so many of like the cars, and that I could never keep track. But one was like a Scooby-Doo colored car. I'm like, is this an actual like NASCAR car? Or is this just like Scooby-Doo sponsored NASCAR car? I have no idea. Sometimes I would just get lost. I'm like, I have no idea what's real anymore and what's not.
I see Toaster Mitt's question, but the one thing I just want to say real fast as far as paint schemes for the car, I'll have to send you a picture later. Because Old Spice sponsored one of the drivers who had like this really long beard, and the paint scheme they chose, it was his face on the front of the car with just his long ass beard going down.
Oh my God,
like, it's so good. But
let's see, Toaster. Let's see, speedway races are long, and for folks that don't know the minutia, they could be boring. Are there any shorter, more dynamic tracks you think would be a good introduction?
Absolutely. I mean, my personal favorite track is a short track. It's Bristol Motor Speedway. One lap is only half a mile, and it's super high banked. So even though it is a short track, it's still pretty high speeds. So definitely Bristol, I think, would be a fantastic introduction. Any other sort of dynamic tracks, things like that. NASCAR goes to several road courses over the course of the season. Watkins Glen is a phenomenal racetrack. It's a road course, so it's definitely going to be more action-packed. One of the best finishes of all time I've ever seen in a NASCAR race was when Brad Keselowski, the number 2 car, and Marcus Ambrose battled for an entire lap around that racetrack. The back ends of their cars were coming out. There was smoke all over the place. They were in the wall. It was amazing. So yeah, I mean,
like, we're not stopping yet.
This is it. It's the last lap. Checkers and wreckers.
It's man, just turn on the red line music and just go.
Yeah, I think Toaster Mitt's Bristol would definitely be my choice for, a great place to start for a first race.
Awesome. Well, Mecha, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about this with me. Like, I didn't realize how much I had actually picked up on it. That is still like fascinating, and to learn even more about it is even more fascinating. And I recommend other people that if they are interested, please don't let any stigma or curiosity stop you. Ask questions, check it out, and who knows, you may become a new fan of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm on Twitter at MechaDeathclaw, and I'm always talking about NASCAR. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it. But yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Zarataro. This was a
Yes,
lot of fun, man.
it was. You like that, and yo, now I like that. And I hope other people now have an appreciation for it as well. We're going to take a short little 5-minute break while you go ahead and get the next guest set up. Let me go ahead and get that there. Becca, I want to thank you again so much. I hope you have a lovely rest of the night. And I think you had mentioned earlier off camera that your streams will be starting again soon. Is there anything in particular you're playing that fans should go to check out?
Yeah, I'm gonna be starting again soon. I'm gonna be playing some racing games on Mondays, or I do a thing called Motorsports Mondays. I'll be doing a variety of racing games for that. Other than that, I've been playing a lot of Fallout recently, so that'll be on there as well as some Overwatch probably with some of my friends. So all that should be coming back soon.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to it. You have a good rest of the night, and everyone, we will be back shortly.
Bye.